Hello, and welcome to the video. My name is Chris T. You will now receive a controlled shock. What is up, everyone? Happy New Year. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. I am back, and today we're discussing something very important. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and probably just Five Nights at Freddy's in general, but you know, you get the gist. Anyways, did you like my little intro? I hope it was nice and spooky for you all. As you can see, I received a new microphone. This was a Christmas present from my boyfriend, so shout out to him for knowing that I'm trying to be on this YouTube John up in my game and giving me this. So I thought that I would test out the mic in the best way I know how, and by doing my best spooky, monotone, robotic voice for you all in this little intro. So hope that was nice and crisp. I am still kind of playing around with it, so trying to learn all I can do. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to sync up this video or if my video is going to be doing one thing and my voice is doing another thing. We're going to see that later. But let's get on to the important subject of the matter. And that is Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Do you peep this shirt? Do you peep the racing stripes? I am looking awesome. Shout out to the game theorists and this shirt because I really love it. If you couldn't tell who is my favorite character in Five Nights at Freddy's, where are you at? Because it's pretty clear. I think this series was really great. I really enjoyed this game. I have a lot to say about it, but I'll do that when we're watching me do the painting process of this video. When I watched the gameplay of Security Breach, I knew right away that I wanted to draw these characters. So that's what we have going on today. I'm painting these characters and you guys are just going to be in it for the ride that it is. So let's talk about the painting process and then get into the juicy, the sweet, the lore, you know, the game story and whatnot. So let's tune in. All right, let's get into it. I apologize to anyone I scared during that intro. I'm so sorry, but Five Nights at Freddy's made me do it. I couldn't pass up on the opportunity, and it was quite funny to me, to be honest. Also, I gave a few shout outs during the intro, which is not my typical MO, but I also wanted to give a shout out to you. Happy New Year. Thanks for still following along. So I hope you enjoy this painting process. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what you see me doing here. And then we're just going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, some of the lore, at least the lore that I understand, and my fan theories for this new game and what's kind of the underlying secrets that we've discovered. So let's do that. Okay, so before we get into all the lore, let's talk about what's on the screen in front of you. I sketched all of the animatronics in my sketchbook first. I wanted to get a feel for the characters, kind of see their design styles, and just know what was on their bodies before I jumped into the final piece. After this point, I sketched them a little bit smaller underneath just to get a feel for what the pose I wanted. I knew I wanted all four of the main characters in the final piece, so that is exactly what I did there. I knew Roxy was going to be the selfie type. She had to be the one holding a camera, getting a nice picture of herself in front and anyone in the background who wanted to be there. Freddy, I felt like his pose is just kind of like tall. Just that thought of like him in a daydream-esque state thinking superstar over and over again in his head. I knew for Montgomery Gator, he was going to have to be in some kind of cool pose. He wasn't going to be just standing there. He kind of had a flex on him, you know? And for him, I really thought it would be appropriate for his pose to kind of be like, ka-chow, you know, rock and roll, that kind of feeling. And then Chica was really funny. I knew what I wanted to do for her pretty early on. She had to be kind of dazed, not looking at the camera, just eating some pizza because, as we know, Chica is our favorite girl who likes to eat all of the snacks and things and shows us that it's okay if you want to eat garbage sometimes because you can just go ahead and exercise it right off. So all the supplies I use for this will be listed in the description box below. We won't really go into that in the video, but It's typically the same things I usually use, but you can find out more if you're curious. The last thing that I included in this piece had to be Vanny. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add Vanny, but when I ended up drawing the characters, because of Roxy's outstretched arm, they ended up all being a little bit too far to the left, and there was just too much dead space, and I didn't want to erase Roxy's arm or change it, so I thought, let's add Vanny. I didn't care for Sun and Moon to add. I think, in terms of the game, I think the person who voice acted for Sun and Moon, amazing, beautiful job, very creepy, but because they're so creepy, I don't like that character personally. DJ Music Man was another fun character, but there's no way I was gonna draw the spider music creature. You just weren't gonna get that, I'm sorry. But I thought a decapitated Vanny head made sense to kind of add on the floor there, and then a little hidden prize box just for all of the lore finders out there. So you won't see me doing the sketch in this video. I take forever and a half to sketch out my final pieces. I'm not sure about all of you, but I don't just sketch and like get it all done. Like I'll sketch, pause, think about it, come back to it. So I knew it would be way too long and just not entertaining at all for you all to sit there and watch me sketch out everything. So decided wasn't going to do that, just sketched it off camera and wanted to start off with the painting process. As you can see, I started painting before I did the line work. I wasn't sure how I wanted to line this piece. That's the main reason why I didn't start with that, but I also do enjoy painting before line work, so that's another reason. I ended up deciding for line work that I was just going to go ahead and use a paintbrush, dipped into very thick watercolor and use that for the line work, which was fun. I'm not really good at that. I'm typically better with fine liners, but I thought this would be the perfect place to practice my paintbrush line work. It's hard for me to get those nice thin lines without a lot of variation, but I know something that I could practice on. And for this piece, I didn't erase the pencil sketch too heavy. Usually I would erase it to the point where you can hardly even see it on camera, but I kind of wanted to keep the sketches there. Sometimes I kind of like that more sketchbook-esque feeling for a piece, and I wanted this one because it was fan art not to feel super finalized or super refined. I wanted it to just feel like something more sketchy, just something that we were doing because it was just something that I wanted to do after watching all the gameplay. All right, now that we got all of that out of the way, you can just watch the process. I'm just jumping around with all of the different animatronics. I didn't want to speed paint this one. I decided to make it all in real time and just kind of cut them up so they're little chunks, because I thought with this longer style video with the voiceover, it'll be nice to just kind of see me painting in real time, and let's just jump around so that you're not on one area of painting for too long. But let's talk about the lore. So Five Nights at Freddy's. I will say there are going to be some spoilers, especially when we get into the current theories that I have for the game. But I wanted to say I don't actually play video games. Aside from Mario Kart and Party on the Switch, I'm not much of a gamer, to be honest. But I do love watching YouTube gamers and a few Twitch gamers. But YouTube gaming has been something that I've been into since like early high school, and I am now a few years past graduation in college. So you can imagine I've been watching the gamers for quite a long time. And when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm not a big fan of horror movies, but when it comes to horror games, I enjoy watching it. I think it's kind of spooky. Sometimes I can't watch it at night because I will freak myself out. But every once in a while, watching a nice horror game is it just adds that a little adrenaline punch that's nice. And Five Nights at Freddy's, I remember when it came out back in 2016, it was the game of the moment. It was like this indie horror game that had so much hype around it about being so scary and just terrifying. And the first person I watched play it was Markiplier. I've been subscribed to Markiplier for forever, to be honest with you. And that was always fun. I don't know if I've seen every single game's playthrough. Definitely don't know about the books that apparently came after, but I think I've seen most. But I don't remember all of them either. So before even painting this piece, I was on YouTube looking at a few lore catch-up videos. I think I watched 2 that were like 30 minutes long, and I'll be honest, after the fact, I'm still not 100% sure what's going on in the FNAF universe. Just full honesty. Apparently there's a lot, and I don't think my brain can comprehend the complexity of it all, unfortunately. But a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, seen most of the games, if not all of the games back when they came out. Markiplier is who I've been watching, but for this most recent one, I really couldn't get enough of it. I do like this game. I think because it wasn't as scary. You have those like stressful adrenaline pumping times where you're getting chased, and I like that, but you also have that whole world feeling, which I really enjoyed. So I started off watching Markiplier play it because again, he's kind of one that I've been seeing play this game for the longest. And then I also watched Corey Kenshin's playthrough of the game, and I also watched Matt Pat's playthrough of the game. I was in the midst of watching one other, I don't remember who, and then I'm now watching Jacksepticeye play the game. He got on the game a little bit late, so I'm now watching him. So I watched all the gamers, and it was funny for all of them. I really liked what they all brought to the table. You get some getting lost, you get all the game glitches, you get some being more funny. It was just a fun time for me. But going into the lore of the game, I guess the original game had this thing called like the Bite of 87, and then in a future game there was the Bite of 83, and I'm not even sure if there is a Bite of 87 or if it's as relevant as the Bite of 83, or I might be mixing up the 2 years. It might be the Bite of 87 that's more important. I really don't remember, but I know this game has come a long way in terms of its story, and I think it's been a little bit more frustrating for theorists because it's definitely deep dived into not just supernatural, but science fiction and things in a way that just can feel like convenient plot points. Like, I guess there was in one of the more recent games, Afton dies, and then in the next game he comes back because in that last game apparently was a game created in the FNAF universe by the Pizzaplex to cover their butts about all the kid murders. And so they conveniently tied up all that to say he didn't actually die. We just made a game saying that he died. I don't know. It gets really trippy, and I think everyone who is into FNAF thinks it's also pretty trippy. I understand that there's going to be a few jumps and skips because I'm not sure if the original creator intended for this to get this much hype and to be now into whatever game number this is, 8th, 9th, I'm not sure. So obviously you're going to have some leaps in logic there, unfortunately, but it makes sense when you think of someone who didn't think of the lore that deeply and now has to kind of add things on to create that universe. So that I'm not too mad about. I do think my brain can't wrap around things that just don't make enough sense in a way. So there's a moment where I'm like, I don't even know if the lore makes sense. But that being said, I was still able to enjoy this newest game, even if it's just kind of like one of those games that they're doing for money. I do love the clean animatronic designs. I think they're really fun. As you can see, I have a Roxy Raceway shirt by The Game Theorist, and I really like that shirt. I think the characters are cool. So yeah, let's talk characters. I think I was like most people who didn't think Freddy was going to be a good guy to the end of the game. Still not sure if we can fully trust him. I don't know if there's any theories I personally have about Freddy's good or bad nature, or if the animatronics are all just bad because of weird reasons. I have some thoughts on the animatronics. Not sure fully my thoughts on Freddy himself. But wow, talk about a total Chad dad. I think Freddy was a really cool character in this. I think the voice acting was great. I love the way he talks like, I cannot do that for you, Gregory. I think that's really cool in terms of the voice acting, and him just being like, you are my superstar. It's just so nice. I love it. So Freddy's really cool. I think Chica is probably the funniest character, but also the scariest character for me. And maybe it's just because they really kicked off her beak and then she was just robot noises, and that was scary in and of itself. But Chica just has this like this speed, this chilling presence whenever she kind of comes on the screen. And I think it's just like the mind-numbingness of everyone else seems to have a lot more personality. Her personality seems to totally be, I am into food and I am going to destroy you. And that is very scary. That is a very scary woman. So Chica's character, I think, is really, really creepy. But I think her lines are some of the best lines in the game. Just kind of like, who wants candy and pizza? Like, I don't know. I really like her lines, and your family is looking for you. Again, I think the voice acting for all of the animatronics in this game was really, really well done. Like I mentioned, Sun and Moon was just creepy in and of itself. And then DJ Music Man not having any lines, but being a sick DJ bro, love it. Montgomery Gator, I think, has probably not that much personality. Chica has a simple personality, but Montgomery Gator doesn't seem to be fully fleshed in terms of his personality. He's supposed to kind of be the big bad in terms of scary, rageful animatronic, but he doesn't come across that way for most of the game. In the beginning, he seemed like he's going to be a really big threat when you hear him like thrashing around in his room. And unfortunately, I feel like even for his boss battle, he didn't really live up to the hype of what they seem to set the stage for with him, which is being this kind of violent animatronic. That being said, I think he could have had some more voice lines for his character. We don't see him as often, or at least in all the gameplay that I've seen, I don't see him as often. But I know like the big one I remember like him saying like, "Hey, little guy," and that kind of thing. But I really like when you first see him for his boss battle that he says rock and roll. I would have loved to hear him say more lines like that. He just seems kind of like cool guy, but also aggressive. And I know that doesn't make you a necessarily good guy, but I think he could have been, I think they could have done more with his personality. Roxanne Wolf, now, on the other hand, has probably the most personality of all the animatronics, Freddy included, and wow, she's quite the character. And I like her not because of all the bad things that are going on with her, but like, I just like the complexity of it. They really made this animatronic feel human in a lot of weird ways, you know? And it's different than Sun and Moon, who Sun and Moon has a lot of personality as well, but Roxanne has this depth of sadness that's just, I don't know, it's just very, it's scary almost. It just makes your heart break for her almost. And it's very weird that they did this with an animatronic, but I think it's one of the coolest things they've done in the game. And for her, we have this clearly self-obsessed, narcissistic personality disorder mixed with a lot of self-esteem issues hiding under the veil of self-proclaimed perfection. And wow, what an intense character. I would say that about Roxanne. You kind of see her in the beginning and you just get narcissism from her when she's like, "You're the best. Everyone loves you. Everyone wants to be you." And what that devolves into her kind of saying like, her crying and then just being like, "I am not a loser." It's like, whoa, what is your story, Roxanne? Like, who hurt you? Who hurt you and made you think that you had to beat everyone and be the best? That's what I want to know about Roxanne Wolf. So I think her character is really intense, really interesting, and I'm kind of here for it, honestly. So I wonder for this series then if all the animatronics in the Pizzaplex also have kids' spirits in them. I'm really not sure how that works out. I don't know if the books really led into the Pizzaplex storyline. I'm not sure exactly how everything ties together. I know in the early ones that's kind of what it was. It was like all these dead children ends up having their soul tied to these animatronics. So I don't know if that's the same for this one. And I honestly, before recording this, I had all these ideas, and then I finally saw a video with all the tapes being found by MatPat. And now I'm kind of like, whoa, what is going on here with the animatronics? Now I'm even less sure about what's going on with with the lore. But I still have some theories, and I wanted to talk about those. And I really want to know if any of you are big FNAF friends or fans, not friends, but you could be FNAF friends and fans. What are your theories for the game? What are you thinking is going on here? So the first theory that I have is, or had, I'm not sure if I still have it necessarily, I thought Gregory wasn't human. I was totally on board with that. I think before I even saw MatPat's playthrough where he started saying that Gregory was a robot, I was really confused with one of the earliest lines in the game when Freddy's like, "I feel you are broken. I'm going to get you to the first aid office." And Gregory like, "No, it's fine. I'm good." And then nothing ever came of that. It was like they almost did it just conveniently to show Vanessa in that moment. And I was like, I'm not sure what that's about, but I feel like there's something more to this than meets the eye. But now, having heard the tapes, it seems that Gregory is an extreme hacker. I am going with the theory that in the tapes, the person who is quiet, and if you haven't seen all the gameplay, you're really going to have to see that to know what I'm talking about. Or if you haven't played all the games, you have to collect all the tapes. I feel like the person in the tapes whose therapist is talking and the person isn't talking back, I think that's Gregory. They did seem to be talking to a kid. And at first I was thinking that the tapes were breaking up from someone talking to kid Vanessa to adult Vanessa. But now I think it's just two separate entities. I think one is to Vanessa whenever the person is responding back, and the one who doesn't respond back are the tapes with Gregory. And in those tapes, they talk about this kid being an extreme tech wizard and a hacker at such a young age. And so they say that he seems to be hacking into the mainframe, which would make sense because when we start off the game, he's in Freddy's chest. He's hacked the system. He got him into safe mode. And yeah, he's talking to this animatronic. So I don't know how deep the hacking thread goes, but I'm still not 100% sure what's going on with Gregory. I did see a comment that said the original voice line was supposed to be, "I see you're bleeding," which explains the Band-Aid that he has on his character design in the game. And so they decided to change the "I see you're bleeding" to "I see you are broken," which if that is the case, then he could be human. But I think using the line "broken" is very, very particular. So maybe the broken also, I don't know if it necessarily means that Gregory's a robot or an animatronic himself, but he could be like, a dead spirit, infected. I'm not sure how that plays out, but let's go into my Vanny theory because I think that's another one that I have a similar thought for, and I'm not 100% sure on that either. So Vanny, I believe, is two people. I think at first the game kind of makes you think that there's Vanessa and Vanny, and Vanessa is the security guard, and Vanny is Vanessa, who is just being brainwashed. Or it's just like a multiple personality thing, dissociative identity thing. I think that's what the game kind of leans you towards, but I don't think Vanessa is one person, and that is simply because of the one end scene credit where Vanessa or Vanny falls off the Pizzaplex and they unmask her, and then right after the end credits you see Vanessa at the top of the Pizzaplex. That one really made me start thinking that Vanessa is two people. I'm not sure what that would mean in terms of, does she have a twin that's evil? I don't know that Vanessa's wholesome either. I don't know if it's like they've been fighting and this person is trying to take over and pass themselves off as Vanessa or Vanny or give Vanessa a bad name. Not 100% sure about that one, but I think it's two people. I wouldn't be surprised if it's either a twin or a clone. From the tapes, it looks like we're getting into some sketchy human resources or psychological therapy thing that's going on, which makes me think that this goes a little bit deeper. We know that some therapists have died as soon as they start to almost uncover more of the truth. I don't know if it's going to go into like the realm of like the government doing some big bad things, but I would be willing to believe that there's a Vanny clone and that's kind of triggered by the Aftons, but there might be something bigger going on beneath the scenes. I don't know. I really don't know, but I do think she's two people. I want to say that the evil Vanny is a twin, and that Vanessa herself has also been psychologically manipulated. And so there's some times where she kind of like allows Vanny to take over. But again, there's still a lot of loose holes with that one, so I'm not 100% sure, but that's my theory there. My third theory, and this is a theory that I haven't seen before, so original theory for you all. And this is something that goes back to some of the original FNAF games. So we know Afton, Mr. Purple Guy, or Father Afton, because I guess Afton's a whole family. We know Mr. Purple Guy is a bad dude. He wants to kill kids, he wants to make these animatronics, and he kind of wants to stuff these animatronics with spirits or what have you. Dude's bad all around. Dude is bad, dude dies, he doesn't necessarily die, and he's on this vengeance to kill more people to do his dirty work. So I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, whenever we see Mr. Afton Sr. going around, he's a bad dude. He's doing a lot of killing. He's trying to manipulate Vanny and Vanessa do what he does, trying to get back into the real world. I think he was like a glitch at some point. He just became a computer program and now he's jumping back into the mortal world. All of this makes sense. But the question I have for you all is all of these kids who died and got stuffed into the bodies of these animatronics in whatever way they did, they end up killing a lot of people. Yeah, y'all didn't think about that, but they do that. So my thing is, are these kids evil too? And I know what you're thinking. They were just kids. They're probably just angry because their spirits were not put to rest. But I don't know. I don't know about that because they're really doing a lot of killings in these games. And again, I know that like the objective of all these games is to survive and not be killed. But it really seemed like these kids are trying to go out of their way to get some murdering on. I don't know if I believe the crying child is as good as he appears. We know there's a lot of orphans, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of bad things that's happening in the FNAF world. And I want to say, I think that the kids in the animatronic suits might not be the most wholesome creatures. Now, this is a little bit discounted because, Freddy's like, all my friends are here and they're so angry. And I wonder if like when he's mentioning his friends, if he's just saying like the souls of these dead children are angry. But I'm just saying, why is it that for every horror thing, people who are spirits just have this like negative vengeance? What if they were good people and they decided not to kill people and were just sad? Why do they always have to be bloodlusting? So my strange out of the ordinary theory is that the kids in the animatronic suits are just as evil as Afton, and they're also doing some dirty things. That one might be a little bit too outlandish for this world right now. Again, I don't have a lot of things to substantiate this with because I do not research the lore. I'm just taking all this in with all of you all, and I don't even play the games for myself. All that being said, there's really some interesting things kind of going on in this universe. I want to know more. I want to know why Freddy's kind of good. I want to know why these animatronics are sentient. I think going along with my idea that Vanny is two people and the whole Afton thing, I think it's possible you see these animatronics becoming more and more sentient. They're having more and more personality. We see the moment when Freddy is beaten in that corridor and he's hurt and he's holding onto his stomach as if his stomach hurts, as if he was really, really beat up. My last theory that I'm going to end you guys on is that Afton or whomever is trying to make these animatronics as human as possible. And that is why I could believe that Gregory is indeed a animatronic, is a robot, but he looks very human because I think the next step that they're trying to go is not just the animatronics, it's also real life people that are not real people in some way, whether that be their spirits exist, but they're also robotic, whether that means they can be controlled. Not sure exactly how that works, but that's kind of the last thing that I've been thinking about. It's just they seem to try and get them more and more real with the sentience, with this being able to talk or almost seem to feel pain in ways that isn't normal for an animatronic. So I think they're pushing into real life territory. And that one I think we might see more of in terms of theories. So that is all. At this point, I've been rambling for the longest. Hopefully we're getting close to the end of this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the painting process. I hope you enjoy this painting. I had a fun time doing it. Really wanted to pay tribute to this game that I've enjoyed for so long. I want to hear your theories. I am so curious about other people's thoughts on this. Do you have any theories that hasn't been confirmed or denied by anyone that you've created on your own? Are there any theories that you've heard from maybe Matt, Pat, or anyone else that you think is true? Are there any theories that you don't think is true and you have actual reason to believe so? Please let me know in the comments down below. And thank you all again for watching. Once again, Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a really great and wonderful year, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.